In the magic-filled kingdom of Grangaya, a legendary Grand Archmage quickly rose to prominence as a hero who led humanity to victory. In a horrific, otherworldly war, his insane magic skills and strong leadership saved thousands of lives and restored peace to the world. The people respected him, admired him, and were forever grateful. Or so he believed. During a grand celebration held in his name, the king suddenly made a shocking announcement. The hero who saved the world was now being exiled. The king acknowledged his achievements, but said that the Archmage's immense power now frightened the people, especially now that peace had been restored. The situation became even worse when a sealing drug was secretly laced into his wine, and his chosen elemental followers turned against him due to false accusations. Just moments before his death, he casts a secret reincarnation spell and awakens 3,000 years later in a modern hospital. Upon awakening, he discovers he's in the body of a high school student named Shiobana Asuma, and the most shocking thing was that the boy's name was his own. Alarms go off, the staff rushes in, and everyone is stunned to see Asuma standing there completely normal. They thought it was a miracle, considering he was in a plant-like state without any hope. A doctor comes to place a hand on his shoulder, but Asuma is lost in deep thought. He realizes the reincarnation spell has worked, and the strangest thing is that he can understand the staff's speech. His first goal was to understand the language and systems of this new world. He asks the staff where he can find the largest library. The staff hesitates to tell him, so Asuma uses mind control on a nurse to get her to give him the correct directions. Asuma spots a bag and asks if it's his. The nurse, now under his control, says yes. The doctor is completely at a loss as to why she's revealing everything so easily. Asuma picks up his bag and leaves the hospital without looking back. At the station, he finds a smartphone in his bag and, because he doesn't recognize it, asks a girl standing nearby. He calls it a metal plate, but the girl tells him it's a smartphone. Asuma then uses his ability on the phone. Analyzing it reveals that it's a type of magic device, allowing him to retrieve any information, including the library he was looking for. After a while, he boards a train and continues analyzing the phone, realizing there was no need to go to the library because he already learned the basics of the world through the phone. He also discovers that this device gives people the ability to communicate over long distances or instantly search for any information. He realizes that it's been 3,000 years since his death, and magic technology has completely collapsed. Now everything is run by science. Even if it seems simple, Asuma finds it all just basic tricks. He feels like he's returned to the peaceful world he once sacrificed his life to save. A short while later, he arrives at the home of the boy in whose body he woke up, and discovers that his entire family is dead. A diary is on the table, and as he opens it, he discovers that the boy wanted to die because his classmates and teachers bullied him. Asuma realizes how dire his situation is when he opens his smartphone to find that the boy is constantly receiving nasty messages. Most of these messages come from the group chat at Shibuya Ward Mage Training High School, where he attended. The next day, Asuma arrives at school, shocking those who know him. They rush to him, asking if he's okay. This shocks Asuma, who asks if he shouldn't be at school. A student then reveals that there are reports that he tried to kill himself because he couldn't stand the bullying. Asuma's seemingly normal arrival raises questions among the students, and they are still trying to understand what's going on. When a red-haired boy, Kuryo Teniji, and his group arrive, Asuma realizes he's the descendant of one of his comrades from 3,000 years ago. Kiryu approaches Asuma, saying he warned him not to come to the academy. Kiryu mocks Asuma, asking if his magic has damaged his memory. Kiryu laughs out loud at Asuma. He calls him out, admitting defeat. Kiryu's friends suggest playing with him like they always do. Then Asuma realizes that Kiryu was the one who treated the other boy badly. This enrages Asuma, and he decides to test his body's strength. He activates his magic and punches Kiryu in the face without fear. Onlookers, they are shocked to see Asuma attack Kiryu. Kiryu's teammates angrily attack Asuma, but Asuma is unconcerned as the mana in his body is well matched. Asuma easily evades the attackers and knocks them down with simple fighting skills. Then he decides to test the power of mana, unleashing a powerful wave of magic that knocks them to the ground. Kiryu, enraged by the humiliation Asuma has endured, angrily unleashes the Hellfire Cannon. The students are shocked by this, as this is a powerful magic that is popular in the school. The students shout at Asuma, telling him to avoid the attack or he will die. Surprisingly, Asuma doesn't move an inch and activates Particle Whale, which destroys the magic. Asuma's magic dissipates the fire, and Asuma is happy that his special magic is still working. Kiryu is shocked when his fire disappears before reaching Asuma. The students watching are also confused, as this is something new they've never seen before. Asuma decides to get serious and runs towards Kiryu, leaving him terrified. The boy is terrified, not expecting a weak boy like Asuma to put up such a fight. Kiryu considers himself and his comrades the best, and Asuma shouldn't have even touched his hair. Enraged, Kiryu unleashes a powerful spell that engulfs his body in flames. Asuma recognizes the ancient spell and realizes that his anger has awakened his power. With his entire body on fire, he attacks Asuma. But before he can move, Asuma meets him midair with a punch to the stomach. This sends a wave of pain through his body, and Asuma delivers a painful slap to the forehead, knocking him out. When everything calms down, Kiryu and his comrades lie on the ground, writhing in pain. The other students are simultaneously shocked and terrified. Asuma, on the other hand, is observing his body's structure and realizes that the hidden mana power is tremendous, but the strength to carry it is insufficient. Later, Asuma sits down with the other students in class and promises himself that he won't let the past happen again. Furthermore, he has no desire to forgive the children of those who betrayed him. Just then, he notices a strange object on a table and asks the girl sitting nearby what it is. The girl, Shinoni Ali, explains that it's a tool that allows new magical technology to run faster, called a smart rod. Asuma realizes that new magical technology is actually a hybrid of science and magic. In fact, 3,000-year-old spells are now called ancient magic, and the people who use them have disappeared. With the advancement of science, modern magic has become the standard. Modern magic is based on theories that Asuma finds strange, yet also very interesting. Suddenly, the idea occurs to Asuma that he can create his own unique mixed magic by combining modern and ancient magic, and this thought excites him greatly. After the teacher's lecture ends, Asuma asks Lily if classes are over for the day, but she tells him that a monthly test is about to take place. Therefore, everyone is heading to the school grounds. A short while later, they arrive, and their teacher, George Toto, welcomes them. He explains that today's test is the most important yet, because it will determine a magician's property. He tells them to take it well, as Asuma still has a lot to learn. He asks Lily about attribute colors. Lily explains that fire magicians are red, water magicians are blue, and dark magicians are black. It seems that mana passes through the body's mana circuits to cast spells, but circuits have low capacity, so people tend to stick to one element. This decision determines their specialty. A little while later, George calls Asuma to the stage. With an angry expression, he asks him which element he will choose. With a confident expression, Asuma tells George that he has no interest in any element. He is content with being no element.
George thinks Asuma is joking, but Asuma clearly states that he has absolutely no intention of choosing just one element. This angers George, who believes Asuma is making fun of him. The other students are shocked that Asuma is choosing no element. They cannot believe that he is deliberately choosing a weak option. This is Asuma's first time being called a NEET, and he realizes that in modern times, a magician without color is called a NEET. But he doesn't worry because everyone is misunderstanding. Taking a one-way route is foolish because being colorless is the best way to use mana to its fullest potential, George complains. He asks why such a useless Asuma has joined the academy. George threatens to beat Asuma, just like he always did. Asuma realizes that George is the teacher who always bullied the old Asuma. George says that non-element magicians have no potential, but Asuma refuses, saying that non-element magicians are the strongest. When George refuses, Asuma suggests testing the theory with a mock battle. Asuma is ready to demonstrate that non-element magicians are the strongest, but this only angers the teacher further. He doesn't believe that Asuma is really challenging him to a fight, so he tells the students that the plan has changed. He explains that today's test will be a mock battle without any rules. Lily is terrified when she hears that George is not setting any limits on the duel, because George is the strongest among all the teachers. Before the fight begins, George tells Asuma not to blame him for anything that happens. Asuma calmly tells George to worry about himself. The match begins and George takes out 2 smart rods. He says that he's the only one in the academy who can handle multiple elements. He combines 2 attacks, a modern magic brace bomb and a Vajra spear. Everyone thinks Asuma is finished, as the attacks are headed straight for him, but to everyone's surprise, he easily blocks the attacks with a barrier spell. George watches in fear, as what's unfolding before him seems utterly impossible. George launches another attack at Asuma, but he blocks it effortlessly. This shocks George and the watching students. George begins to unleash all his attacks, but Asuma slowly moves closer and blocks them. George panics and yells at Asuma to not come any closer. Undeterred, Asuma approaches him, breaks his smart rod, and then, placing his hand on his shoulder, delivers a painful attack. Asuma tells George to tell everyone what he did or he'll turn him into dust. Realizing Asuma wasn't joking, George begins to reveal everything. He explains that he always turned a blind eye when Curio and his group tortured them, even when Asuma trusted him. Yet he still beat Asuma for it. Hearing this, the students are shocked and disappointed, and they quickly run to call the headmaster. George falls to his knees, and Asuma looks up at him and asks how it feels to lose to a colorless wizard. The fight with George has made Asuma a feared figure in the class, as he now seems a completely different person. After the day's classes are over, Asuma turns to Lily again to talk to her, surprising the girl. Asuma thanks Lily for her earlier help, and Lily's face turns completely red with embarrassment. Asuma makes things worse for Lily by approaching her and asking if she'll go out with him. Hearing this, Lily is completely shocked. With her face completely red, she quietly agrees.
He says this is only possible if he is a legendary wizard from 3,000 years ago. Asuma then tells him, "Your magic was so good, so I'll end the fight slowly." He runs towards Azuya so fast that he can't react, and says, "You used too much magic in front of me. This gave me a chance to understand your magic." Asuma places his hand on Azuya's chest and spins a magic circle, sending a wave of pain through his entire body. The magic takes effect, and Azuya screams in pain. Then he falls unconscious. Asuma stands over him, smiling because he won the fight. While Azuya is unconscious, he dreams about his ancestor from 3,000 years ago. He was very close to Asuma at that time, and considered him an amazing person. Even though he was close to Asuma, Azuya kept away from the rest of the team. He always avoided them. Curio thinks Azuya is shy, but another friend says that maybe Azuya just doesn't like him.
It seems Izuya doesn't get along with others because he doesn't like art and can't mingle with such people. When his and Asuma's relationship was going well, suddenly one of his friends tells him that the king has issued a decree declaring Asuma a traitor. Izuya doesn't want to believe it because he thinks Asuma couldn't do such a thing. His friend says that it's true because the king has the power to see things ahead and is never wrong. Hearing this, Izuya is heartbroken because he considered Asuma a wonderful person and wonders why he risked everything to commit treason. While Izuya was thinking about all this, he wakes up in the hospital because Izuya didn't see it himself. He thinks that what he saw was just a nightmare. Izuya is trying to regain his composure when Asuma arrives and offers him water. He says it's an electrolyte drink with sugar. Asuma tells Izuya to drink it quickly because he's sweating profusely and is dehydrated. Izuya is surprised and asks, "Why is he helping me?" Asuma explains that Izuya suffered his magic directly and he couldn't have been all right. However, he explains that his magic channels are still intact and there doesn't seem to be any lasting damage. Then Izuya sees Asuma holding a towel and realizes that Asuma was taking care of him while he was unconscious. Asuma smiles and says, "I did it because I didn't want to lose a good magician." In a low voice, Izuya thanks Asuma for his help and says that not everyone in S4 is like Kiryu. Izuya admits that Kiryu's magical powers are immense, but he disagrees with his views. Izuya explains that he wanted to see how strong Asuma was to defeat Kiryu. Izuya bows and apologizes to Asuma for what he did on Kiryu's behalf. Asuma smiled and says, "You don't seem like a bad person." He then says, "I'll forget you attacked me." But in return, he wants a deal. Izuya asks what the deal is. Asuma says he wants Izuya to leave S4 and form a new group with him at the academy. Asuma is willing to take this risk by taking him along because he doesn't have memories of 3,000 years ago. Asuma understands that if he wants to achieve anything in this era, he needs companions. Asuma tells Izuya that he hopes he'll join him in the future he wants to create. Izuya is completely surprised and delighted by this offer. Without wasting any time, he gets off the bed and kneels before Asuma, saying he's ready to follow him. Asuma is shocked by Izuya's behavior, remembering that Izuya from 3,000 years ago did the same thing. Asuma then tells the nurse that he's seen her peeking from behind the door. The lady quickly comes out and says it wasn't intentional. After Izuya's work is finished, Asuma gets ready to leave. As he leaves, he gives the nurse a chart that analyzes Izuya's magic paths. Asuma says she can work on it. As soon as she sees the chart, her mind is blown. She can't believe how perfect and detailed it is. She yells at Asuma to stop and asks if he'll come to her research center as a special student. Asuma turns, smiles, and declines. He says he prefers the academy. After a while, Asuma heads to the magic analysis room as he had been interrupted and needs to continue his research. When the computer finishes analyzing everything he's described, it reveals that his theory is worthy of being presented at the conference as a new magic system. Asuma is delighted that his guess was correct and breathes a sigh of relief, as this lays the foundation for combining old and new magic. Asuma decides that he will now modify each magic formula to suit different purposes, then combine them with other magic paths, and also check if they work well with the elements. Seeing all this, Asuma realizes that this magic analysis room will become his second home. Asuma plans to surpass all old magic and create a completely new one. The next morning, the teacher decides to call Asuma to class because people suspect he's cheating because his marks have suddenly increased. The teacher says, "Come and solve the question on the board." The teacher forces Asuma to come forward, and Asuma happily steps forward to prove everyone wrong that he's not useless. Asuma picks up the square and begins solving the question down to the last detail. Both the teacher and the students are astonished. Asuma also explains how this question was created and what its function is. It was the same question that led to the invention of smart rods, and the teacher is completely astonished. He is forced to admit that Asuma is right and tells him to go back to his seat. The teacher is astonished because Asuma solved the university-level question. As he walks to his seat, he sees Lily. Her eyes don't leave the cool, relaxed boy. During lunch, most of the class comes to Lily, requesting her to talk to Asuma so that she can become their friend, understanding that they won't let her rest until she agrees. Lily finally agrees to talk to Asuma. Lily asks Asuma if he'll be free after school so they can go to the cafe with the rest of the class. Asuma initially refuses, but realizing that Lily will be humiliated, he changes his mind. The entire class jumps with joy and declares that this is the best day of their lives. Meanwhile, a strange girl is staring at Asuma and thinking of disfiguring his beautiful face. After a while, Asuma and his classmates arrive at the cafe. But Asuma doesn't get a moment to rest, as all the students want to know everything about him. Lily soon grows tired of their incessant questions and yells at them to ask one by one. Asuma then answers everyone's questions, like what his favorite food is and the benefits of being a NEET student. Just when he's about to miss a question, a student quickly reminds him. Asuma reveals that the person he's closest to is Lily. Hearing this, Lily feels like she'll faint, but she manages to control herself so she doesn't experience the same fate as before. Still, she vents her anger on her cup, squeezing it so hard that everything in it spills. Asuma still gives her a moment to feel embarrassed by consoling her for the spilled item. Lily tells Asuma that students are curious because they don't have elite courses. For them, NEET means no education, no job, no training. But everyone is convinced that in Asuma's case, NEET means skilled, smart, and brilliant. Asuma smiles and says, "Maybe you guys are right." Lily can't believe Asuma is happy with all their talk. As they leave the cafe, everyone shares their contact numbers with Asuma, which makes him even happier. Meanwhile, someone is tracking Asuma and sending his live location to their boss. Asuma finds out who the person is and tells Lily to be careful. Suddenly, a group of elite students appear in front of them. Asuma asks why they're there, but they remain silent until a car stops in front of them. The students then make way for the person who gets in. When the car door opens, Asuma's classmates are frightened because the boy who gets out of the car is a member of S4. The boy approaches Asuma and introduces himself as Fukarta, the head of the club union at Shion Academy. Asuma can see without a doubt that this is the same Shion from 3,000 years ago. Shion tells Asuma that he heard that he helped Azuya and the group shouldn't be burdened with gratitude, so he challenges Asuma to a magic duel. Lily is surprised, and Asuma turns and asks her if he knows what a magic duel is. Lily is horrified when she realizes that Asuma doesn't know anything about Jack, and whispers in her ear what a magic duel is. When Asuma takes a moment to answer, Shion unleashes his fearsome fighting spirit to scare Asuma. Asuma sees the spirit and realizes it's the fighting spirit targeting him and the rest of his classmates. Asuma realizes that Shion would even take hostages just to force a duel. As it's a fun opportunity for Asuma, he agrees. As soon as he agrees, Shion draws his sword and tells Asuma that the duel will take place tomorrow morning in the Academy Central Arena. Asuma smiles because he's not worried at all and is ready to show Shion how much better he is than him. Later, Asuma has a vivid dream, and from within the dream he goes into the depths of his mind. Asuma sees this as a great opportunity to learn about his old body's owner. He remembers that when he came into this body, a small amount of mana remained in the body's magic circuits, which he didn't touch. He thinks that seeing that mana might bring up thoughts of his old owner. He thinks that a small part of the old Asuma might be in his thoughts. To do this, he needs magic to extract his soul, but he remembers that there's no such old magic. Being a genius, he decides to create a new magic himself. He jumps at the idea and starts putting everything together, and he does it. He smiles because he's creating a new magic inside his mind. Asuma is confident that he's the one who can do it. As expected, Asuma succeeds and removes the body's thoughts. The younger Asuma is terrified when he sees a fingernail just like him and asks where it is. But his head starts aching and he falls to his knees in pain. Asuma realizes that memories are starting to merge between the younger Asuma and the body. All the memories come flooding back, and Asuma realizes that he tried to kill himself in his room, causing him to faint. He then went to the hospital and fell into a coma from which he won't wake up. He asks Asuma if what he saw is true, and Asuma says yes. He explains that he's borrowing his body and apologizes, but the young boy doesn't mind because without it he would have remained in a coma. Young Asuma asks why a man from 3,000 years ago entered his body. Asuma explains slowly, and when he does, young Asuma is on the verge of going crazy. Asuma tells the story of Kiryu and the teacher's teasing, but Asuma has already defeated them and other strong enemies. Asuma explains that he's doing all this to protect his body. Young Asuma is surprised that he could have become a small celebrity at school, but now he doesn't care because he's dead. Young Asuma explains that he now remembers everything. While he was in a coma, a meteor shower passed, and the meteors were being sucked into a large black hole. But inside the black hole there was a small light that caught his eye. He explained that the light was flickering as if it was fighting, and he decided to take its place. Young Asuma jumped in and fell. He realized that he was the one who wanted to die but lived, while Asuma was the one who wanted to live but died. Young Asuma smiles and says perhaps what was destined to happen happened, but old Asuma disagrees. He says that they are two different souls in the same body, and neither of them can live as Asuma alone. Confidently, Asuma tells young Asuma that he is still in their story, and promises to fulfill his dream. Young Asuma smiles at this, tears welling up in his eyes. He shakes old Asuma's hand and thanks him for his help. Young Asuma tells old Asuma that he is glad he is trying to fulfill his wish. Young Asuma then asks old Asuma if he can do anything to help him. Old Asuma tells him what happened at the cafe. He tells young Asuma that Lily was chanting a strange mantra that turned everything from you to white chants. This confuses old Asuma and he asks if he can explain what it means. Young Asuma laughs and tells old Asuma that he has no problem helping, but then his body begins to fade, revealing that their time is up. Young Asuma then thanks old Asuma for bringing him back. Before disappearing, he tells old Asuma that he will continue to follow their story.
When Asuma awakens, he realizes that young Asuma is just a remnant of his thoughts, but at the same time he wants to fulfill all his wishes. Here, at Shien's house, he sits in front of a large crystal called woodside nitride, or calcum, which is found only in the Fukata family hills. It's the hardest metal in the world, and after Shien meditates, he uses his sword to shatter the metal. Just then, the strange girl who was following Asuma earlier arrives at Shien's training grounds. It turns out she's also one of the S4, named Mizuhara Mune. Mune is impressed by Shien's sword's strength as it cuts through this material with ease. Shien then tells Mune that she watches the video he sent and is shocked that Izuya and Kiryu lost so badly. Shien says that maybe he's an S4 just for the sake of it, but he also respected Izuya and Kiryu very much. He considers them the pride of the academy, and because of that, he won't let anyone who threatens the academy's prestige live. Mune agrees with him and explains that if he considers Asuma weak because he's a nerd, he'll regret it, just like he did to Izuya and Kiryu. Shien then draws his sword and swears to the moon that he will defeat Asuma. He says he doesn't care if anything happens to Asuma because the academy's honor is more important than a human life. Mune is delighted to hear this and tells Shien to smash Asuma's handsome face. Mune then asks if he'll use his secret weapon in the fight, but Shien refuses. He thinks he won't need it in a fight. He believes his familiarity is enough. And so the day of the duel arrives, and Asuma is excited about the whole thing. Speaking of magic duels, there are one-on-one battle between students based on their use of magic. It seems students' rankings at the institution are determined by their magic duel results, and as always, the rankings go from F to S. Higher-ranked students receive special privileges at the academy, making it even more fun. Asuma learned all this from Lil in the waiting room at the arena. Lily thinks Asuma must have heard about it before, as every student knows it, but Asuma tells her that this is his first time hearing it, and thanks her for telling her. Lily is surprised to hear this and thinks Asuma is still struggling with memory problems. Because of this, she decides to help him. Suddenly, she remembers that she is actually in Asuma's waiting room, and begins to lose herself in her dreams, as she always does. Asuma's voice calling out to her brings her out of her dream world. Asuma shows her two ties, a black one and a white one, asking which one looks better. Lily chooses the black one, and Asuma thanks her for his help. Asuma then asks Lily if he can improve his rank. He'll get more time in the magic analysis room, and Lily says yes. Lily can't believe that among Asuma's many concerns, the magic analysis room is the top priority. Asuma then tells Lily that Shien is calling him the school bully, and Lily confirms it by showing her a news article detailing Asuma and Shien's fight. Shien had told the press that he wanted revenge on Asuma for ruining the academy. Even after seeing the article, Asuma is completely unfazed.
Student, while Asuma is ranked F. This means that if Asuma wins the duel, he will be promoted directly to A. Hearing this, Asuma turns to Shion and says that he will withdraw from the match if Shion upgrades his rank from F to S. Asuma finishes by saying that this way Shion won't be hurt. As soon as he says this, Shion's anger spreads throughout the room. Shion tells Asuma that it's been a long time since someone has insulted him so much. Asuma's rudeness assures him that he won't forgive him now, whether he cries or pleads, but will beat Asuma to smithereens. Asuma teases him further, saying, "Come on, go with all your might." Shion angrily tells the referee to start the match, as Shion is his former life partner. Asuma knows he can't stop or he'll lose. Asuma's plan is to use the full power of his ancient magic from the outset. Asuma reveals his magic circle. The entire room is astonished, as they've never seen a magic circle like Asuma's before. Asuma throws a magic blast at Shion, but it's stopped before he can. It turns out Shion is using auto-intercept earth magic. Asuma isn't surprised, as it was the same way in his old form. Shion tells Asuma that his unfamiliar magic won't work on him. Shion grabs his sword and tells Asuma that he's ready to end the fight in one blow. Asuma is stunned by the sword, which functions as both a smart rod and a true sword. Asuma sees Shion's attack and understands his counter strategy. Asuma is impressed and prepares to break Shion's strong space. For Shion, Asuma is a surprise threat. He considers him a dirty pest who disturbs the peace of the school. Therefore, he will not tolerate this. Shion is confident that Asuma will not be able to stop his attack, and the students are excited to see Shion's dangerous move. What's worse for Asuma is that he is trapped by Shion's magic, preventing him from escaping.
As soon as Shion realizes that Asuma is trapped, he launches his attack. Mune watches in amazement, wondering what Asuma will do, because Shion's attack can cut even the hardest material in the world. As the attack comes towards Asuma, Asuma takes off his tie and says, "Enough joking." Then he casts a strong spell on his tie, making it as hard as stone. This prevents Shion's attack and even breaks it. Shion is shocked, and everyone in the room is astonished that Asuma stopped such a dangerous attack with just his tie. Shion casts vanishing magic, dispelling his restriction magic. As soon as he's freed, Asuma vanishes, sending chills down Shion's spine. Meanwhile, Asuma prepares for a counterattack, and Shion panics at the mere thought, realizing that Asuma is nowhere to be seen. Shion strengthens his strong space, readying for an attack. Asuma suddenly appears behind him, and just as he's about to launch his attack, the auto-intercept system activates again. A large hand emerges from beneath the ground and blocks Asuma's attack, giving Shion enough time to launch his own attack. However, Asuma dodges the attack and throws his sword at Shion. Shion thinks Asuma is courting his own death by doing this, but Asuma shocks him by continuing his particle dissipation spell. This spell melts everything in its path as it reaches Shion. As soon as he reaches Shion, he draws out another sword and attacks Shion with full force. Lily is shocked to see this and realizes that Asuma had also kept a second sword. Shion becomes overwhelmed by Asuma's immense strength. However, Asuma praises him for holding on, as his plan was to end the fight in one blow. Shion also admits that Asuma is the first to get so close to him, and therefore he is the first to demonstrate his secret sword technique. Just then, Shion unleashes his magic sword. The dim full moon emits a dazzling light. Asuma is unable to block it, and Shion's blow hits him squarely in the chest. Mune smiles, as this sword technique combines the disrupting magic sword and the piercing magic sword, and even she cannot escape it. The war hits him squarely in the chest, sending waves of atomic damage through Asuma's body. Asuma is unable to move and falls to the ground, causing Lily to scream in pain and despair. Asuma remains unmoved. Shion worries that Asuma is dead because he exerted too much force on the war. Shion tells the referee to check Asuma, and he quickly leaves. Shion is ready to accept Asuma's death sentence, saying it was a mistake. Suddenly, Asuma stands up like a zombie, looking terrifying. Shion is shocked because Asuma shouldn't have endured his secret technique. Asuma then tells Shion that he was wrong from the beginning, thinking he was using all his strength. But in reality, he was unconsciously considering Shion weak. But now that Asuma has recovered, he's ready to get serious with him. Asuma wasks towards Shion, and Shion nervously prepares to use the secret sword technique again. Asuma knows his body's mana is high, but his stamina isn't low. He realizes Shion's first attack was going to be fatal, and he plans to end the fight quickly. Asuma's plan is to compress his mana within the magic circle, reaching the limit, so that his body strength increases temporarily. Even though it's his first time, he does it with ease. A powerful light emanates from his body. Asuma is thankful that he has a strong opponent, as this gives him the opportunity to create and experiment with new things on the battlefield. While Asuma is thinking about this, Shion sees the opportunity to attack him. Shion is about to launch a battle that will destroy him, but before he can, Asuma appears behind him. Shion is astonished at how this man has achieved such speed. He wonders how a human can achieve such speed. Yet he feels that his secret weapon is still intact, and he brings out his familiar. His familiar emerges from beneath him and grabs Asuma's leg. Shion thinks he has stopped Asuma from moving, but Asuma surprises him by pulling the familiar out with just one hand. He throws it away like paper, then he destroys it with a magic spell. The entire room is stunned. Asuma tells Shion that his automatic blocking option is gone now that he has killed his familiar. Shion trembles at the sight. Asuma walks towards him and says, "It's over now." Shion can't believe what's happening before him, considering he's Japan's top swordsman. But he refuses to give up and shouts at the top of his lungs to summon his last option. 3,000 years ago, Asuma witnessed Shion create a Mew spell that unleashes the hidden power within a person. Shion tells Shion that it can increase mana tenfold. Asuma is impressed, but Shion points out that it has a side effect. He explains that using it unleashes the caster's wild form. Because of this, Shion feels it needs to be improved. Still, he explains that they have found a human for the experiment, and that it is a dangerous experiment. Asuma asks who the subject is. Shion tells Asuma who he has in mind, and hearing this, Asuma tells Shion to continue working, believing he will trust his new spell. Now, in the present, Shion is able to cast the spell, and his other form emerges. He pounces on Asuma like a madman, ready to tear him to pieces. Even Asuma can see that the man has become much faster by enhancing his magic circuits and increasing his body strength. Shion's tremendous speed forces Asuma to jump back, and Shion mocks him. He tells him not to run. Shion's destructive power has fully unleashed. Asuma can see that he has channeled his potential from 3,000 years ago. He understands that the others did the same in extreme conditions. Yet, Asuma doesn't believe Shion is still a threat. After a while, Shion corners Asuma, as was his plan all along. Asuma is impressed that even in his mad state, he is acting with caution. Shion is happy that everything went according to plan, and tells Asuma that now he will finish you off with his last secret technique. This technique is a one-hit magic sword, Blurred New Moon, that delivers 10 simultaneous blows. Asuma is worried because he doesn't know if he can withstand this attack directly. Despite the danger, Asuma feels superior. Asuma understands that he must stop Shion's secret technique. To do this, Asuma creates a magic circle to block Shion's attacks. The magic circle becomes a large 3-sided lens, and Shion's first attack touches the lens he created. In addition to the analysis skill he had applied to the magic circle, Shion also added a new feature. Instead of automatically analyzing, it sends all information directly to Asuma. Asuma then analyzes it in his mind like a supercomputer. This computer allows him to process information at nearly the speed of light. This makes even Shion's swift attacks seem slow because they can't beat the speed of light. To understand how powerful it is, Asuma does all this in just 0.1 seconds. As soon as it's over, he blocks Shion's attack and counters it. This creates a wave, knocking Shion back. But Shion retains his composure and attacks Asuma. He easily blocks his attack. Asuma grabs his sword, breaks it, then punches him hard in the face, sending him crashing to the ground. Asuma points his sword at him, demanding he surrender now, or else. Then he is stabbed terribly. He realizes that if he continues to be stubborn and brave, he will truly die. Shion has no choice but to surrender. Asuma smiles again and asks, "Do you understand your worth now?" Having admitted defeat, Shion asks, "How did you recognize my attack?" This is simply impossible for a human mind. Asuma smiles, understanding her confusion. He then explains that the quantum I discovered within magical analysis, I used a computer, its principle, which allows me to do fast calculations in my head. Shion isn't surprised to hear this, and Asuma says that science works very well with ancient magic. But Asuma explains that Izuya deserves the credit for creating all these countermeasures. Before the fight, Izuya told Asuma that Shion has 2 aggressive personalities, a normal one and an angry one. He told him to be careful until he defeated the aggressive one. Shion doesn't believe that any ordinary magician could do this, and Asuma smiles and says, "I'm no ordinary magician. I'm the Grand Magician." Meanwhile, the students rejoice and celebrate Asuma's victory, and no one is happier than Lily in the stands. After the fight, news of Shion's defeat spreads throughout the world, and everyone knows this will be remembered for generations to come. Asuma is rewarded for defeating Shion and promoted to A rank, which includes additional benefits like permission to spend more time in the magic analysis room. Asuma is elated because he no longer needs to seek permission daily, making his mission faster. Asuma is excited about what quantum computers will create. That evening, Asuma returns home and realizes that it's been a week since his rebirth, and his understanding of the modern world has deepened. He's also learned a lot about the land and discovered that a major cultural rupture occurred between 3,000 years ago and today, meaning some things carried over from the old era to the new era, while others did not. This rupture is called the Great Calamity. Because of this, magic weakened and science flourished. Asuma is upset that it hasn't completely disappeared, it's just diminished. The old magic has become a small group and is treated like a cult, but he regained his fame through the power of science. Science created modern magic that anyone could use, unlike the old magic that required talent. And think about it, the kingdom that betrayed Asuma earlier is gone. But when Asuma meets his 3 old friends, he realizes that Mune is also somewhere within the academy. And it also seems that the king who betrayed him earlier also exists in modern times. Just then, Asuma's alarm goes off, and he remembers that he has a report to prepare, with a deadline.